What's going on? And welcome into the casual gaming news conversation. I'm one of your hosts, Nick Evans, and that's Connor. Connor, how are you feeling today?
Feeling good. Ready to yap it up about some news. Lots of exciting Xbox stories, some sales numbers, some fun video game discussions to be had.
Yeah,
How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. This is exactly what this show was meant to always be. Hey, we had a developer direct yesterday. We now have a place to talk about it. I feel like this is like the third week in a row where it's like we have a place finally to talk about it, and that's why this show exists, and it is really, really exciting. How are you feeling now, just like post direct? Now that it feels like we finally can calm down a little bit. I mean, this past week for the team has just been insane. We went from Switch launch last Thursday to preview event to direct, and now we're finally able to take a deep breath. How are you feeling with just all of the happenings behind the scenes?
Yeah, the dominoes are definitely lining up finally, which is nice. We knew about a lot of these games coming in 2025, but we didn't know about dates of exactly when stuff is coming out. And now that we've had the Xbox Direct, we have the Nintendo Switch just even existing, Switch 2 even existing, which is nice to finally have that reveal out of the way. PlayStation, where are you at? Just in the shadows, waiting to cancel another live service game. So yeah, it'll be exciting to hear from them eventually. But
you got to imagine February we get something from PlayStation that is exciting and is going to be just something that gets us out of our seat. I'm just hoping. It's really funny because I feel like the doom and gloom that we have with PlayStation right now, with every single week, we're 2 weeks running now, where it's like, well, another game got canceled. The MMO game, apparently, did you see that there was like a little bit of a retraction from the initial leaker of it?
Oh.
And that's why it's not on our news slate. He was like, oh, I didn't mean that. And people were like, but other people corroborated it, but the original source, it's a whole thing. But anyways, it does feel like it's just been bad news. I feel like 2025 for PlayStation is still really good. Like, I feel like it's in a good spot compared to even last year, where it is Death Stranding, Ghost of Yotei, and then potential third-party partners to help fill it out. I feel like that's a as strong, if not better, year than how we felt going into the January state of play that we had last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really depends on how you feel about the slate that was Rise of the Ronin, Stellar Blade, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth to start the year. Obviously, Rise of the Ronin didn't turn out as good as we wanted it to. Stellar Blade was stellar, and Rebirth was amazing. And I know those aren't first-party titles, but second-party or exclusive definitely gives some weight to feeling good about your purchase with the PS5. But for Death Stranding and for Ghost of Yotei, I feel like Death Stranding, for a lot of people, doesn't really move the needle. It moves the needle for me on my excitement. But when it comes to the discussion on PS5 and the state of the PS5, you can't be like, well, we got Death Stranding. Yeah. And people are going to be like, oh, my bad, never mind, or whatever. It's like Ghost of Yotei is really what people are going to point to, and that's all they really give a shit about for like the broad audience. Death Stranding is for the nerds like me.
It's interesting because even Ghost of Yotei, I'm like, that's not Spider-Man 2. That's not God of War Ragnarok. It does feel like, not like maybe even a full step down, but a little bit of a half step when it comes to IP and PlayStation. So to go and have this year be, like you said, Death Stranding 2, which is, for a lot of people, a weird game, a sequel to a walking simulator, a game that gets brought up to be made fun of for being a walking simulator many different times ever since that got released. And then for it to be Ghost of Yotei, which is like, cool, it's a sequel to a major PlayStation game, but it's not like I said, it's not Spider-Man 2. It's not a continuation of God of War. It feels a little bit more like it's in the Horizon bucket, a little bit better than the Horizon bucket for fandoms and everything. But like when it comes to IP, it's not like taking over the world. So it is an interesting year. You hope that something like Marathon can fill out the year a little bit more. You hope that Insomniac gets off their ass and potentially does something. But
Fair games, come on, baby, game of the year. No, I'm just kidding.
Games. But yeah, like I think that we're primed for a state of play to get a couple more answers. Even if it's not first party, it's exclusives, and then maybe we get Housemarque off the bench finally. I think Housemarque is 2026 at this point.
Finally is a weird way to put it, just because I mean they went semi recently.
2021.
Oh man, 2021 is so
it's
long ago.
Now 4 years.
Like that was like a year or two ago. And 4 years is crazy.
It is interesting too because like we're also at the point that like there's a realistic chance this year we see Cory Barlog's next game. We don't like get it released, but like we could see it. And so we'll do a full episode on this of like what the rest of the rollout is for the PlayStation 5. And I think that we were waiting on a state of play for that episode at this point to be like, okay, they're going to answer a couple things. It would be bad to do that episode and be like, Marathon this year, and then we don't get a trailer for Marathon in February, and it's like, yikes, maybe it's not this year, stuff like that. So we'll probably wait till then. But I do feel like this year is pretty set in stone. I think it's going to be a solid PlayStation year, and then going from there, there's some more question marks. But
I can't really talk about PlayStation's year without yapping it up about Xbox's year. Like, it's all relative, and I don't want to spoil the first story.
We're about to get into the Xbox news, and then Nintendo's year. It's really funny. I think partially all this Xbox news gets me excited. Just be like, the front half of the year is getting loaded up nicely. We're finally starting to figure out what is going to be this January to June section before showcase season comes by and everything. So I'm getting pretty jazzed up. Let's hop into housekeeping. First and foremost, this show, if you love it, you can get it 3 days early over on patreon.com/co64. The support over there has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for supporting this team, this dream. Also, more benefits on that Patreon. You can get the casual gaming conversation 3 days early and bonus pod. We just did trophy talk. It's posted. Connor, we yapped it up for an hour on trophies.
Yeah, I thought we could have gone longer.
We could have.
There's more questions that I want to answer. I'm always down to talk about some sweet platinums, baby.
There we go. And then this week, one of the biggest conversations that we're looking forward to this year was talking Uncharted 4 spoiler cast. This was something that you pitched immediately when we discussed doing these bonus pods and everything, and me and Brady were both fired up. How are you feeling going into that podcast shoot on Sunday, which will then be posted Thursday?
It's funny because I feel like we've talked about it every week since it's been in the news, the TikTok ban stuff. The TikTok ban made it feel like a lifetime went by in the span of like 2 weeks, where there's a lot was in limbo, time was stretching out, and I was playing Uncharted 4 kind of before everything completely hit the fan on that. So it feels like a lifetime ago since I played Uncharted 4 now. So I'm excited to finally talk about it, but it's not like been in the forefront of my mind. I've been playing that Final Fantasy X, been playing Race the Sun, playing a lot of Valorant lately. Go Thieves tonight. Come on.
Thieves up.
By the time you're watching this, it's probably already over.
hey, maybe if we get this podcast up fast enough, what time did they play?
Actually, they play at 8. But
yeah, hopefully this podcast up before 8.
I mean, if you're watching it on free feeds, which most people do, obviously. Yeah. So excited about that. So like Uncharted hasn't been on the forefront of my mind, but I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say because we haven't talked about it at all. Like we've been very vaguely just been like, pretty good.
Yeah. Talking to Brady about it, like in those quick one-off comments have been really fun because like you put me and Brady in a room with a common topic, it's like, oh, all we want to do is yap it up, and to have that restraint, it's going to be a fun podcast. I have
a feeling we're going to disagree about a lot of stuff.
I do too, and I think that's what makes great content. It's going to be you and I bickering, and then Brady, our child, is just going to be in the middle being like, yeah. I concur on some of Nick's points and some of Connor's points. I think that it's just one of those games that is just so universal. Like anyone can pick up and have a good time with it. And I hope that there's a lot of people that are stoked on it. We'll definitely probably make a breakout edit to put it on TikTok about this podcast and everything. Because I think like when we talk about podcasts that we're looking forward to, normally those are some of the best podcasts we shoot. And all of us are looking forward to that one. There's obviously a bunch more content on Patreon that you can go and get. At that $10 tier, you get that extra piece of content every single week. This week's piece of content, the Co-op 64 podcast. And we always say, like, the podcasts need to be as long as they need to be. Apparently, this one needed to be like an hour and 45 minutes. So it was awesome. Some great topics, a lot of fun over there. And then shout out to our dearly beloved members who we will shout out at the very end of the podcast. If you want your name shout out at the end of every single podcast we do, consider going over to Patreon and signing up for that tier.
If you like Recollecting Retro at the $10 tier, it's Co-op 64 podcast this Saturday, tomorrow. Then it's 2 additional TikToks the next week. And then it's going to be another Recollecting Retro, which is going to be one game store and my NES collection. So like for if I'm not going to multiple stores, there will usually be like a small collection breakdown in that video as well.
We
So
don't-
I only have like 14 NES games. So
We don't know what the sweet spot of this show is yet, but it just so happened that like the first 2 episodes were about 30 minutes, and so like
yeah,
we're trying to like work within those guidelines, being like we don't want to like all of a sudden post like a 7-minute video, you know, like we're
Right.
trying to make sure that this is a little bit of a heavier piece of content for
yeah,
sure.
20 to 30 probably somewhere in
Yeah.
that. But as with everything, as long as it needs to be. So.
Yep. And then also in housekeeping, Twitch streams. We're streaming on Twitch every single week. Connor, god damn, dude, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black.
Yeah.
Holy
It looks
shit.
great. I keep seeing clips about it.
I'm
It's
not.
awesome.
I'm done playing it on stream. I'm going back to Metroid. I might even push Thursday even to being a later stream if I need to beat it. I plan on this week that you're seeing this on Free Feeds, beating Metroid Prime for the first time on stream. I want to do it. I'm excited to do it. I need to get past this one section. I might even do that section like off stream and just like push forward and not have that frustration. But playing that on stream last night, the audience was like, "This is a treat," and I'm like, "This is a treat, dude. You gotta play the latest and greatest sometimes in games." And when there's a shadow drop, come on. Excuse me, talk to me nice. Connor, every single Wednesday is playing Nier Automata. How are you enjoying that one?
More this time than I was the previous times, and it's because I'm not really interacting with the open world that much. I think that the layout of the open world and the map, as I've kind of went over ad nauseum at this point, just do not like it very much. The side quests are just whatever, beat the thing up, bring it back to the quest giver, and get your XP or whatever. And then, but when it comes to the set piece moments and the different environments that are like more tailored, it's like, god damn, this game is good looking. This game's got the sauce. It's got the music. It's got the vibe. Like I'm fighting this giant mech whale monster thing that like came out of the ocean, and I'm in a mech, and I'm like, it's like a shmup all of a sudden, and then it turns into like a regular like action game, then it becomes like a 2D side scrolling action game, and it's like, what the fuck is this? It's awesome though. Like I really do. It's one of those things that I just keep appreciating more and more as I play it, but I'm not sure still if I'm in love with it. I like it more, but apparently it gets, I hate when people tell me this, but like you have to play it 3 times.
Yeah.
And it only gets good on the third run through, and it's like, okay, then is it a good game? Like I don't know if that's how that works. But I guess in this instance, like people don't even look like look at the first playthrough as even a first playthrough. They look at it as like part 1 of a 3-part story. There's 26 endings, but there's a lot of joke endings or whatever, or like side endings. So we'll see.
For me, Undertale's the go-to with that explanation, and I'm like, I loved Undertale the first time I played it, and that felt satisfying for me, and so I'm good to go. If there was like a yearning that was like, I don't feel like I got a complete experience, I probably would have gone back and done more, but like, I felt like I got exactly what I needed from that.
Which is what people say about Nier, that you won't feel like you got a complete experience with one playthrough, which I'm not sure if that's a flaw of the game or not. Like, I feel like that might be something you could levy criticism at, that like you have to play it multiple times to even get the full story. And am I going to be playing like the same missions over and over again? I'm not sure. Like, I don't know how that works. So if it's like completely different in the other 2 playthroughs, because I think somebody's looking up, it's like 10 hours, 8 hours, 15 hours for the 3 playthroughs or something like that. Like I felt like somebody said 25 to 30 hours for like to do the whole thing. So we'll see how that all goes. But I don't know if I want to play something over and over again right now. There's so many games to play.
Totally. And I mean, like, the nice part is zero stream. You can do whatever the fuck you want with it.
The idea was that maybe I'll do the first run through on stream and then in my own free time do the other 2. But if I'm like really enjoying it by the end, maybe we'll pivot. We don't really have anything planned. Do we have anything planned for
No, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
We're very loose when it comes to my stream scheduling.
Totally.
We just, whenever we finish one, we're like, what do you want to do next?
I'm planned through, I think, April with my streams. But that's just because like by me having some sort of baseline of what we're doing, it allows group stream and you to pivot, because it's like we don't want to do 3 retro games or 3 long games or whatever all at the same time.
Right.
So by having that baseline, it's like, hey man, like if I were to play Final Fantasy 10 later this year or something like that, I would be like, you're playing something shorter. Like we're not doing 2 50-hour JRPGs at once. But it is nice though that like it really is whatever the fuck you want. Speaking of whatever the fuck you want, Brady Bourne, dude, holy shit,
it's been fun.
He's been cooking.
Yeah,
he's flying through this game so much so that I'm a little bit concerned that I have this scheduled for a certain amount of time. I'm like, he's gonna beat it like a month before I like initially had set out. Because the nice part is we are able to help him with direction, so you're not really getting lost. And then also he's beasting up these boss fights left and right. Like, he's doing a great job.
Yeah,
And it's been
first try, second try.
Yeah, and it's been a ton of fun. And then Discord. Join the Discord. The link is in the description below. We have over 2,300 members over there hanging out, playing games together, random tournaments. After the 12-hour stream we're doing tomorrow, the next big thing will be the Halo community tournament that we're looking forward to. And if you want to get in on that fun, you need to join the Discord. New merch. We have merch over at coop64store.com. And there is now 2 different designs you can go and look at and potentially purchase if you so desire. They're both amazing. Review us on Apple Podcast. It helps get the pod out to more people, especially this show. I would love personally reviews just so we can make sure that we're trying to make the show better every single week. Take your feedback, but throw us 5 stars over there to get more people to watch it. It really does mean the world. And then lastly, get in the comment section. Whenever we mess something up on this show, we will go back and check out the comments from the week prior and try to correct ourselves to set the record straight, just so we're on the fly often with this stuff. We're trying to go and pull knowledge from E3 2015 or Game Awards 2017 or something random. Maybe we get a year wrong. Maybe we get a date wrong. Maybe something is exclusive or not. If you know that and you hear us fuck up, we would love to hear from you and make sure that we can go and throw that out there.
Yeah, maybe you say Claire Obscure got moved to summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just not right.
I
felt so confident.
Connor, I thought it was spring. We both heard spring.
Yeah.
And then I looked up, when is Claire's Obscure coming? And it pops up summer. And then I showed you what I saw, and you're like, oh, that's weird.
Can't believe everything you read on the internet, Nick.
Yep.
I saw it in a trailer. They said spring. It was a whole news story about it. And I was like, I feel like I would have heard
if they moved it.
Them push it. And also, it would feel weird for them to say spring, and then like 2 weeks later, then be like, never mind, summer. Like that's where I was like, there's something up here now that we've seen it in the direction. We know the dates. Like vindication.
We're going to be talking about all the things that we saw in the Xbox Developer Direct, because story number 1 is Xbox_Developer Direct 2025 recap. Everything we announced. This is Joe Screbbles at Xbox Wire.
A made up name.
Quote, we visited. It's a made up name?
Isn't that what they used to do on Kind of Funny Games Daily?
I have no idea.
I think Joe Screbbles
was the person
on Kind of Funny Games Daily. They would say, because I think he worked for IGN.
Oh yeah,
and Joe Screbbles from IGN, a made up name or whatever. I could have sworn they said that all the time.
All right, this is from Joe Screbbles at Xbox Wire. Quote: We visited the studios behind Doom: The Dark Ages, South of Midnight, Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, and the never before seen Ninja Gaiden 4 to get an inside look at new gameplay footage, as well as key information from each game direct from the developers working on them. Plus, to celebrate the return of Ninja Gaiden, we also announced that a remastered version of the beloved Xbox classic Ninja Gaiden 2 Black will be available for Xbox Series X and S, PC, and Game Pass from today. And then, further in the article, these are just a bunch of sub-headlines. This is just the meat and potatoes of what actually was presented. Quote, Doom: The Dark Ages launching May 15th, 2025. South of Midnight launching April 8th, 2025. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 launching April 24th, 2025. Ninja Gaiden 4 launching in the fall of 2025. And then Ninja Gaiden 2 Black available today. I also took down a couple notes that I read and then checked on the Xbox website and some other marketplaces. Claire Obscure $50, South of Midnight $40. Connor, I want to start here. Let's peel it back. Let's go back to yesterday a little bit. Let's take this as one of our post-game breakdowns. What would you score this event?
It's interesting because I don't like developer directs. Like the structure, I don't enjoy it. I just think that I just want to see the game, generally speaking. And also, if you're just going to do a little update on where we're at and show some footage we've already seen, or maybe do a little bit more of a deep dive into it, it's as somebody who's really sensitive to spoilers and just kind of wants to go in fresh, it doesn't do anything for me. It's I was already sold on South of Midnight. I was already sold on Expedition 33. I was already sold on Doom. They couldn't have shown me anything else that would have made me more in on those games. And based off of what we saw yesterday, that is the truth. I'm in. I'm excited for these games. What we got out of it was some dates, which could have been an email. But you get Ninja Gaiden, you get Ninja Gaiden 4, and you get Ninja Gaiden 2 Black remastered, and it's like that's very exciting, very cool. So the announcement is cool. One announcement for a 50-minute long video, which I knew that was going to be the case going into it, and yet it's just even with those expectations and knowing my own personal bias towards this structure of not really enjoying, like I like the showcase structure that they have at rapid fire, show the game, get in, get out, 2 minutes, 3 minutes on each game, and have some fun announcements, show some new gameplay there. But for this, for a developer direct, for what it is, it's like an 8 out of 10. Like it delivers what they are setting out to do. But for a Connor opinion on developer direct, like a 5 out of 10, where it's like, cool, dates. And I'm not a Ninja Gaiden guy. I've never been a Ninja Gaiden guy, but I might be now. Like, they look sick. Like, I'm excited about that. But still, like, it's knowing that like I'm not into that series yet. It's not like it's not Dragon Quest, it's not Kingdom Hearts 4 or something. Which we had some speculation that maybe
anything was possible when they were talking about
like
this
that. So
series.
like, it's really hard to have like my own personal opinion and then also just like not love the structure anyway. So like coming to some sort of consensus like number for myself is like I don't really know how to do that, but it was fun. Like it's fine. 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10, like whatever.
For me, this is honestly almost my preferred structure because I fucking love hearing from the devs. I love the discussion aspect of it. Like we're gonna talk about Clair Obscur. I was sold on what that game was, but the person that was talking about the narrative of the game and being like, this isn't good versus evil. This is a story about a bunch of confused characters like trying to find their way and like getting those types of details you don't get in a trailer. I would have thought that they were going out to defeat the Thanos snap that is erasing people every single year that they go out, but like having it be a little bit more set in stone and have that explanation, that gets me fired up. That's an answer that you cannot get from a trailer. And then also I think that we are in a part in the industry like timeline where there are layoffs every single day. The fact that we haven't had to really discuss any major layoff stories thus far in the year, knock on wood, has been a fucking miracle to some regard. So getting a little bit more of a humanized team, hey, let's go to X, Y, or Z place in the world. Let's go into the studio. Let's hear from these developers is fucking cool. I really do appreciate that. I think that it makes games and the people that create them a lot more like putting faces to names. One of my hot takes from 2023 was we need more, or maybe 2024 or early 2024, we need more faces in the games industry. This allows us to go in and be like, okay, I now know the faces of the people that are making Clair Obscur. I now know the people at id a little bit more. You watch a documentary from the team at id. I don't have that amount of interest, but I'm all for hearing these teams talk, and now I'm fans of these people, right? I want to go and hear what they have to say next from the creation of their game. All this to be said, I adore the format. I think that when it comes to what we want from this, it is date. It is setting up the table for the entire year for Xbox. 2023, when it was, hey, we got a shadow drop and we got a couple of cool announcements and we got a date on Redfall and Forza's coming in the fall and or Forza Motorsport's coming in the fall and all this other stuff. I'm like, okay, like I don't care about like some of these games. Last year it was Avowed and Indie, and then a bunch of games I didn't really also care about.
Is Avowed, Indie, and
Aura, History Untold,
Hellblade
2. Okay. And I was excited about Hellblade, but we already had seen like they'd already done some developer speak at Xbox showcases and other areas, so I wasn't too interested on that. I was like, I want more Avowed and Indie.
Yeah, it's interesting for last year in comparison to this year. Thinking about it a little bit more here, like we had not seen Indie.
Yep.
That was very exciting.
Yeah.
To like get details and see what that looks like. Like
that was a debut trailer moment for that team.
And we also didn't really understand what Avowed was going to look like in like when you're playing it.
Yeah.
They like had 2 trailers up at that point. They had like the cinematic and they had like a Avowed trailer that was kind of just like it was in game, but it was just like very overview esque. The trailer that they showed at the last developer direct, like that sold me on it. I was like, oh, that looks fun to play. And like, I'm more in on this now. Whereas this developer direct, we had already seen gameplay of Clair Obscur. We had already seen gameplay of Doom. We had already seen gameplay of South of Midnight. Like, I just feel like I didn't get anything. Like, I got little tidbits and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But at the same time, I would have rather discovered those tidbits in the game myself rather than have this explained to me by a developer. Like, that's kind of the conflicting point of view that I have when it comes to these kinds of events and trailers and spoilers in general, that I have just a problem with wanting to discover things and have things just explained to me in a trailer that feels like it's taking away from when I actually get to go play the game. And a developer direct feels like it is the worst offender because it is very much the dev just talking to you or whatever, which, as you said, like, I want to highlight the devs and the people who make these games too. Like, I do think that is an important aspect of it. I just, like, as a consumer of these games, I just don't know exactly how to feel about this marriage of the two things.
For me, when it comes to, like, let's take South of Midnight for example. Like, I wanted a little bit more gameplay. I wanted to see not just like a vertical slice, and the fact that we got even more of it, for me, that doesn't like spoil the experience. That was one of the more, it's really funny because I'm stoked on that game. It's one of the least interesting parts of the direct for me because it was just a conversation of like, okay, like I'm already sold. So I did have the sense of like, I'm sold. I don't need the conversation to be about X, Y, and Z. But
even hearing the details about it, it's like, I feel like I didn't even get anything new for South of Midnight for the most part.
That's true. But like, to see even more enemy designs, for me, I'm like, cool. Like, this does seem like it's going to be a little bit more of a jam-packed experience, and we're going to have a lot of cool boss battles and everything in this game compared to where it was just like, okay, like, it's an action-based game. Are we going to actually have like a lot of fun playing this and moving forward? And I didn't know if we were like, I didn't feel good beforehand, and now I feel a little bit more solid, but it wasn't selling me the way that I needed it to sell me.
I was sold already.
Yeah.
And based off of the combat we had seen during the showcase, what we saw here like didn't really move the needle for me one way or the other. I was sold, and it didn't move
the needle was more what I was trying to say.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I went around in circles on my own description. But yeah, I'm at this point, I love the dev direct. It's great for what it was. I'm at like an 8.59 with this thing. We got exciting new announcements. We got a new announcement that was of legitimate consequence. We talk all the time about just like, hey, like, this is an announcement, but like, how much sauce is there actually to be? Ninja Gaiden 4 is sauce.
But sorry, I didn't mean to.
We got a shadow drop. Like, a shadow drop is also only as good as the game that you're shadow dropping.
Right.
I had a phenomenal time last night. That's I was like at an 8.5, and I'm like almost at a 9 with this presentation at this point, because the thing that we got immediately was amazing. And then what the actual content, knowing going into this, these are the games we're going to see. We're going to get a shock. The shock was awesome, and it was twofold. It was a great 1-2 punch of like, even if you're not stoked about that because that fall date popped up, we're going to give you something today. The fact that we got date after date after date, and it wasn't spring, summer, it was date, and it's all before June. This needs to be championed as like, okay, they're fucking doing it.
Yeah.
Like, and I got chills by saying they're fucking doing it, by the way. Like, for the first time ever, I'm leaving a direct, not a developer direct, not being like, okay, so we have the May game, and then maybe one of these games gets pushed to the end of the year, and fuck. Right now, it is February, April again, May. For things that you can get for $20 on Game Pass. If I'm going and talking to my buddy Sam has a Series S, and he's just like, he just wants to play Call of Duty and be part of the next generation a little bit. I'm gonna be like, bro, if you just have the time on your hands and you want to play some cool ass games, April would be a great time to pick up a Game Pass subscription and just like have it for a month, because you get South of Midnight and Clair Obscur. And if you like get it at maybe like late April and you wait for some of these games to come out, you also get Doom. Like, having this set up in a way for the consumer to be like, holy shit, the first half of this year is so stacked for Xbox, and leaving with that emotion more than anything else. I closed the computer, I'm starting to edit shit and post shit, and the entire time I'm just like, the first half of this year is so fucking stacked from Xbox. It was unbelievable. I also think from a presentation standpoint, like, we did get to see Doom early, and so we didn't have like this initial like shock and awe. But when we saw that presentation, I was like, yes, it looks like more Doom. It's super exciting. I just want more Doom, and the not sword, the shield, the flail, the guns. I'm just like, this is fucking awesome. For that to be May and to be like the farthest game out that they showed that was Xbox Studios, not Xbox Publishing, is so exciting. I cannot wait for what Xbox has up their sleeve. You discussed it off camera multiple times and on camera a couple times. Like, PlayStation seems like they're bleeding. Nintendo's in a console launch year where it's just like there's gonna be a lot of eyes on them, but like what's the steady release cadence that they're gonna be showing up with for this first year? Xbox has the opportunity, especially in the first half of this year. It is wide open. It feels very wide open. If we want to talk about how stacked February was and everything, they're part of the stacked February where like Avowed is something that you and I are both looking forward to. And now April is Xbox. May, as of right now, is Xbox. And you got to feel good about May, that after the fact, after leaving this event.
Or you can't. May
as of right now.
May for Doom. Doom is coming to everything. So I don't know if you can. I know that it's a win for Xbox's brand, but like you can't say like Xbox owns it.
It is a win for their bottom line. They legitimately own it.
They don't own the conversation. Doom comes out on Xbox and PlayStation. Everybody are just going to be talking about how awesome Doom is. They're not going to be talking about it.
And that's all they care about.
I think they care about selling consoles too.
I think that is a ridiculous statement. Connor, you want to know how I know they don't care about selling consoles?
Why would they just? Yeah, I know, but that's the disappointing part for me. It's like I want them to care about selling consoles.
I know,
like I want them to compete with PlayStation. That's the issue. That's the issue that I have with it. Is that I think that they've just thrown in the towel on the console front. That they could be owning this year and making a big splash. If Doom was a exclusive game, and we know now that Avowed and South of Midnight are exclusive as well, that like, man, and PlayStation is just fumbling the bag so heavily right now that this is their opportunity, that they could be pulling them back into the console war or whatever. I know I don't like to really like belabor the point on like the console war, console fandom like type of rhetoric, but like I want Xbox to do well, and I think that they could on the console front with this lineup. If for the rest of the year it's this, what we already have announced, and then Fable gets a date and Outer Worlds gets a date later this year, like that's like one of the best first party years ever. But if all of these games are coming to PlayStation, it boosts Game Pass numbers, which is great for the people who already have Game Pass and are involved in the Xbox brand and ecosystem already, and it's great for their bottom line, I guess. But like, is it great for the people who are invested in the future of Xbox and the console coming back and competing with PlayStation? I think it's too late, unfortunately, because they just aren't focused on that.
So that's why I say that Doom coming out and being Game Pass day one is one, it helps their bottom line. A large part of I'm going to take you inside the boardroom of what I imagine is happening up at Xbox HQ. They're going and saying, hey, we gained a shit ton of Game Pass members. And they're like, you're not selling enough copies. And they're like, cool, well, let's find a place to sell copies and let's put it over to PlayStation. And then they're going to be like, okay, you're now doing the right thing. We now have a good bottom line, and we can now fund more awesome games and keep these studios on, hopefully. And like, my big fear with Xbox in general is the layoffs, because that's just been news story after news story after news story. If Xbox, and I mean Xbox as Bethesda, Activision, the whole brand, as long as they are creating phenomenal games and people aren't getting laid off, and I don't give a flying fuck about the box. If I feel like my $20 every single month is going to a good place with Game Pass, and I'm playing great games, I will be playing Doom on Game Pass, because you're going to make me play it on PC. I'm going to be using my PC Game Pass.
Well, if you're going to play with a controller, I don't care where you play it.
Well, either way, I'm going to be playing on Game Pass, because I'm not going to spend the $70 when I have it for free, in quotes.
No, I understand the mentality. I just... what you're saying is you're treating them as a third party just fully at this point. And like,
they are treating themselves as a third party.
And that sucks. Like,
that is fine, but to go and not have the rhetoric be that when they are telling us, hey, they're always going to create a console, in my opinion. They always want that to be an option.
I don't agree with that. Oh, we'll see. I mean, like, I don't bet.
for when it get decided.
In the next 10 years.
I mean, the only bet
there will be a moment when Xbox does not make a console anymore.
Well, I could see that being the case, but then their console is the Microsoft TV or something or whatever. Like, there's going to be a native place to play Xbox games. I always think so.
Native or streaming?
Something that you can download to a place.
Okay, we really can't.
You can't make a bet on this.
But I think this sucks. I want them to make consoles. I want them to compete with PlayStation. You get fucking shitty PlayStation because they have nobody competing with them.
Well, right now they do. Well, actually, but because the games are coming over, I guess.
PlayStation doesn't give a shit about anything Xbox is doing at this point.
Yeah,
they do not care. They are not competing, and
they're not. They're selling. The bottom line. Yeah.
They're selling 3-to-1 Xboxes to PlayStations, and they're just rolling in the cash. And whatever they do, they seem to just keep selling consoles and keep making a buttload of money. And even when they fumble the bag in the conversation with something like Concord, or then they have a weak year when it's like just Spider-Man 2, which I know Spider-Man 2
and FF16
is huge, but like. The conversation about PlayStation 5 is completely doom and gloom, but it doesn't matter to their fucking bottom line, to their numbers, because they don't have somebody to compete with, which sucks.
Yeah,
that's why I'm frustrated, and it has nothing to do with like being an Xbox fan and being excited for like what you're getting on your system or getting on Game Pass. Like, I perfectly understand why, if you're in that ecosystem, why you're excited about it. My argument is just about the business aspect of the competition between these two entities that I wish Xbox was punching back harder at PlayStation. And now that they have the fucking ammo to do it, they've just completely thrown in the white flag, it feels like. Yeah. And it's like, fuck, dude, like this is their moment. This is their time. Like, if it was these games in Fable and Outer Worlds, it's like, damn, like that's
the year at this point.
That's the best year in Xbox history.
It's arguably, if all these games come out to an 81 plus Metacritic, which I'm at the point that I like from what we've seen with South of Midnight, Doom, and Avowed, and then what you expect from a Outer Worlds 2, where that team would hopefully just improve, and Fable being Playground Games, who only makes phenomenal games. I'm not saying 90 plus, but like it's going to be an 81, you hope, out of 10. Like, that's arguably the best first party year any dev team has ever had. Right. And then Doom's not going to get less than like an 84 on Metacritic, probably. Like, it's going to be a step up, you'd assume.
But you and I still disagree on like if it's coming to PlayStation, if it's coming to Xbox. Like, is it a win in the margins for on their yearly financial report? Yes. Is it a win in the conversation in the minds and hearts of gamers for Xbox? I think that it's a moot point if it's coming to PlayStation.
I think that. I mean, we've seen the comments even on the last podcast where people were just like, I'm excited about Xbox games. Like, Xbox fans are just excited about any game that they can play.
But you're not winning PS5 fans, is what I'm saying.
But I also think that this showcase was like a good example of like, hey, if you want to play Avowed or South of Midnight, you got to hop over and buy an Xbox or to get a Game Pass subscription.
Then why didn't that happen with the numbers
Doom?
With Call of Duty just aren't there to support the fact that like it just was this overwhelming tsunami of people to Game Pass from PlayStation. Like, people weren't willing to go out and get an Xbox or buy it on PC if they're already in on PlayStation. They're just going to spend the $70 to buy it on PlayStation, whether or not that's a good deal or not for the consumer.
That's not fully true for everyone, though.
I know, not for everybody. Yeah. I'm just saying that like. But if you're playing on PlayStation, you're not getting it. You need a reason to go completely over there. And if the reason is, well, it's $20 over here every single month to play Call of Duty, or it's $70 over here just to buy it once, that it's like most people are just going to be like, oh, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to buy the $70 version and play it where I'm already ingrained.
That makes sense. But my question is, you're talking about this insanely, not small subsect, but you're talking about pulling. Xbox has admitted their goal to pull PlayStation players to Xbox is never going to happen. And it's not.
I understand the logic that they used with the digital library and everything that Phil Spencer said, that like they've made their digital library over there. They're not going to change. They're not going to move. It's like, then why did people go from 360 to PS4? Like,
because
I know
there wasn't a digital library.
There is a digital library on 360.
I understand, but it wasn't. It's also,
if you have great exclusives, people will buy a second console for it.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing in some part, it seems. And even so much so, timed exclusivity, we talk about all the time, being that important factor. Right. We will, by the way, I still want to talk about each of these games to some level. And we can do quick rundowns. But I do want to just dial it back to, this is, in my opinion, the promise that, hey, Game Pass is going to flourish. It makes a lot of sense to have a Game Pass subscription.
100%.
If this is trying to sell Game Pass, their marketing is Game Pass and everything's an Xbox. This is them achieving that goal in like the most true way possible. You can play these games on your TV, on your phone, on your laptop, on your PC, or on your Xbox console. Get excited about it. Spend the $20. They did a phenomenal job giving that reasoning. The only people, in my opinion, that this is not wouldn't be excited about, and when we talk about the like console exclusivity conversation, when we initially had it back in January, it's like, this kind of just sucks for the Xbox gamer, because it's like they're so integrated, but they shouldn't have been, because they could have gotten these games on PS5. If I'm the Xbox gamer, as someone that owns a Series X, I'm just like, cool, I have a reason to be with my Series X still, and this excites me. And so I don't think that and then if you're a PlayStation gamer, I'm looking at this, and if I only had a PlayStation, that was my only option, I'd be like, wait, so, and I'm talking about PlayStation without a PC, because there's so many people that are, for a long time, like me, that I'm like, I'm never playing anything on PC. I would rather sit on the couch. I'm going to only be a console person. I just like putting a disc in and playing games and I buy 3 or 4 games a year, whatever. For that player, I think that this is a great example to be like, oh, South of Midnight looks really cool. Oh, Clair Obscur does look cool. Okay, but that's on PS5. Cool, I might just hop into that one. Doom, okay, I can play that on PS5. Wait, but Avowed? I really love Avowed. That looks awesome. Obsidian, like large RPG. I haven't played a game that reminds me of Skyrim in a long time. Let me go over and spend that $20. I think that there is a small case, but Xbox looks at this as like, we're talking about that person. We're talking about the Xbox fan that now feels great because they just got all these games. I don't think that there's a large argument to be made at this point, being like, yeah, I would love a very healthy Xbox that is in the console market and they want to compete. That doesn't exist anymore. And though that is not clearer, then everything is an Xbox marketing push. And that is the direction that they're going in. And so when we're talking about what Xbox wants to do, it is Game Pass. And it is convince the consumer, all gamers, that we have great games again. And that's what this showcase was. And I think that they did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I just think you and I disagree at the end of the day on if that marketing push towards Game Anywhere, this is an Xbox, that's an Xbox, Game Pass is a winning formula in the long term for the health of the Xbox brand and the health of the Xbox ecosystem. We both want the same result of a healthy, good Xbox.
Yeah.
We just disagree on how you get there. You think their plan currently is working and is good.
No. I think that their plan for a very long time was not working and was not good.
And now will be.
And I think that this is, hopefully, I pray to God that we get through this year and goddamn another Xbox studio does not close. That is like my number one thing. If we get great games and they make whatever money, I don't care about their bottom line. It needs to be great games and no more studio closures. Yeah. That's what I want from Xbox more than anything else.
I think you can have that, and then also I wish you could have that and competing with PlayStation.
But I think that's cart in front of the horse situation for me right now. That is once again, I think that is a good thing to want. But for me, it comes down to, let's make sure that we don't have studios closed down, and then let's give the people great games. Step one's accomplished. This looks like a fucking awesome lineup. I do want to
great lineup.
I do want to hop into the lineup, and let's just go in order of dates. When we talk about this year, it is so exciting for us. The way that we do our calendar is I go and put the game, and I put whether it's green, yellow, or red on whether we're going to review it as a team, just so we have a good idea of what's happening. For that showcase to end, I did not think that we were going to have 3 green games with dates get on the board. I didn't think that was possible. I thought that there was a chance we might have like 1 green, 1 yellow, and just move on from there. The fact that it was banger is awesome. South of Midnight, April 8th. What does that do for you with that date? And obviously, it's just gonna be a hype level out of 10. And what does the date do for you?
I'm an 8 out of 10 hype level for this. I'm excited.
Yep.
I think it's gonna be a great video game. How great? We'll see. I think it could go either way. On being game of the year level or just really solid. But I can't imagine it being bad. And then for the date, I'm we knew people had previewed it, had played it in last year, or
I don't know if they played it. I think that they watched somebody else play it.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was previews for it.
Yep, there was previews.
So it was assumed that it would be sooner than later, and April seems right.
April seemed right to me also, where it was just like, yeah, this is April, and like that's the other part where if you watched us talk 2 weeks ago on the show and doing predictions and everything, it was this might be May, like there, or Doom is June or July, and like we're trying to figure out what the year looks like. This always felt like it was gonna be sooner than later. The fact that this was as soon as it was not shocking, but in my opinion, when we talk about the dominoes and we talk about how Xbox needs to stack their year up, this was super exciting. Got to bring it up now. $40 price tag. What does that do for you?
Interesting. How much is Doom? Doom $70?
I assume it's $70.
Okay.
I'm gonna look that up.
It's a bit of a concern on like how big the game is. We saw that with Hellblade, and for the length of that game, $50. It's like one of the biggest criticism levied against Hellblade 2 is how short it is.
Yeah.
Like that consumed the conversation about that game. So $40. I mean, Compulsion's never made like really big games in general. I would consider them like a AA studio when it comes to scope and budget or whatever, just based off of We Happy Few and Contrast. So here, I don't think it really matters if it's a massive game, $40, if it's indicative of size or scope or anything. I'm still going to be excited about it no matter what. But we'll see if that ends up correlating with anything, with quality or length of the game or anything.
Yeah, so. I hope that we get some sort of press release in the next couple of weeks being like, hey, this is how long the game is. And it makes a little bit more sense with that price tag. But like I said, I'm stoked on this one. I would say I'm at an 8.5 for South of Midnight at this point. They did a good job selling me before. This was just more. It did lower my hype a little bit, I would say, from like a 9, but not by too much. And it's not anything that they did. They just showed me more great shit.
Huh. That's weird that it went down for you, though.
It was more, but it was also just like, I'm now at the point when I see $40, I'm like, what are the chances this is game of the year?
Oh, so it was
level?
all about the cost, not about what we saw.
Oh, I think a little bit more so on the cost. Yeah.
Okay.
That the cost was just like, before the presentation ends, and I'm like, that might be game of the year. Like with what they're doing, the art style, and how much fun you can have with that action. Like the action gameplay and the skill trees being simple, and just seeing even the UI be so clean and not be like a lot, and letting you be immersed in what the art style is. I'm like, yeah.
I forget what we said for Metacritic prediction.
I have no idea.
80, 84, 85 is my
I
guess.
think now you're saying 84, 85?
I don't know what I said originally, but that's my guess for what I would say for this.
I think I was even higher than if not much higher. I think like 86
Which
would be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But once again, $40 to me doesn't scream Cody. Like, and that is
Sure.
That is or like it's not even doesn't scream Cody knob. It's like, okay, now we're looking at like art direction and like sound design and like some
Right.
other stuff that can be exciting. But they did a great job selling me, and I hope that this thing comes out. It's 12 hours. It's an all-in review for the team, and we fucking love it. Like I do, and I think that there's a good chance that is the case.
Yep.
Claire Obscura Expedition 33 launching April 24th, 2025. What's your hype level? And obviously we talked a little bit about like the fact that like I didn't need more of this by any means, but did they show you anything that did get you out of your seat and like help sell you on this even more so, or was the excitement only from the date?
I like the vibe. I like the comedy that they showed in the game. It looks like it doesn't take itself too seriously, especially with the overarching narrative being as serious as it is. To get that was pretty nice. But yeah, like you said, there's some aspects that I'm a little bit concerned about, like the passive list of like
the 48 different abilities.
Where it's like, oh man, that seems overwhelming. But we'll see if that ends up being like a big part of the game or not. But otherwise, like, yeah, I'm excited about this. I think it looks great. Similarly to South of Midnight, I think it's going to fall in that great category.
Yep.
I don't think it'll ascend to excellency in the 90s on Metacritic, but I think another great game from that will be on Xbox Game Pass is a good thing. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
And the date, what was it?
April 24th. So 2.5 weeks after South of Midnight.
Don't put anything. Wait, what is there anything in between that yet? No.
No.
Not for
literally
Xbox,
nothing.
not for anybody. Yeah, don't put anything in between that. Please give me
Yeah.
some time to finish both these games, please.
I like if we do get hit with the inbox on these things, the fact that this one is I've already been reports of it being like 30-ish hours. It's a $50 title. That's another major bullet point on this of like getting that to be $50 and understanding and being like, okay,
25 hour
20,
game.
30 hour, 25, 30 hour game, all about it. Like, I think that they have a really good opportunity right now to go and let the player get back to some PS2 magic, large open world, like world map level design and everything, and let the player go out on this grand adventure. I think that that's awesome. It seems like, and there might be new cast members that join, but I sort of hope that it is like, we get this core cast. Let's get these relationships really deep. Let's have them build on each other. Let's go on this adventure. And for the characters, like they said, we're talking about flawed characters. This isn't just good versus evil. This is, let's go and actually have some nuance to it with these character dynamics. All about it.
Yeah, it's interesting when it comes to the cast. It looks like there's 4 characters.
And then the goofball, then the air balloon.
Okay, sorry, I thought it was 4 including him, but I guess I think you're probably right.
I think
actually.
4 in the hot air balloon.
Well, yeah, I think he's in multiple forms.
Oh yeah, he takes over. Lately, he's a shapeshifter and looking thing and everything.
All right, yeah. I'm playing Final Fantasy X right now, and one of the things I love about RPGs, JRPGs in general, is getting the gang together. Like, when a new party member joins, I love that. It changes the whole landscape of everything. So if it is 4 characters, I'm a little bit disappointed with that. I like you adding on top of it. Playing Final Fantasy X right now, they give you just about every character right from the jump. Like, you get one character later in the game, but right now it's like, man, I like that Final Fantasy 6, 7 vibe where it's like
7 getting every 5 hours of gameplay.
How many playable characters in Final Fantasy 6, Nick, off the top of your head?
Oh, Connor, easy. That's 13.
It's 14.
That was close.
And you're getting new characters left and right, dude. It's awesome. It's no Suikoden, which has 100 playable characters, 100 plus. But
dude, when are we getting Suikoden subathon, Connor? Okay, let's make it happen. And then moving on, Doom: The Dark Ages. Shout out to the team over at id, allowing us to get that preview opportunity to see it a little bit early. I do obviously think that when we're talking about the showcase, I completely like put the experience that we had and just dropped it in for what we actually were doing. It was the prime example of like, okay, embargoes till after the show, but 2 p.m., what's happening here? So right when the stream ended, I checked the email. I was like, oh, we could have talked about it right after the fact that we saw this. But if you want our in-depth thoughts on Doom, there's a TikTok already up about it. But I think that the big headline that we all left with more than anything else was May 15th. The fact that this is first half of the year, that it is not going to be their big fall game. I'm going on my own opinion right now. I'm taking the ball right now instead of tossing it over to you. I cannot believe that that's the case. And it's not necessarily that we're getting Doom this early. It is that they completely set the dominoes for the first half of the year. Normally, developer directs are, hey, we're talking about the September, November. Last year,
December.
It was December, and then this year's February with Avowed. Like, the fact that they were just like, no, we're going to dial it the fuck in. And May 15th, like, I said it after the fact, and I said it I said it after the showcase, and then I said it on our preview that was on TikTok. They own May now. Every single other game, if Death Stranding 2 is scheduled for May all of a sudden, I'm going to be like, I mean, that's a question mark type of game. Doom is a guarantee that it's going to be fucking awesome. Like, it's going to be a super fun time. If something else gets thrown in there, like if Split Fiction, God forbid, gets delayed to May, it's going to be like, well, now we're talking about like a super fun co-op game versus fucking Doom. Like, It is such a staple in gaming. It is one of the heaviest hitters when it comes to IP in general. There's very few things in Xbox portfolio that is like carries that amount of weight. For it to be May, to close out this showcase, I honestly felt like when they said May and it was the final beat of the showcase, I was like this is the what's up moment for Xbox. This is them saying, how's it going? So what does May 15th and this whole showcase do for you?
Yeah, in retrospect, thinking about when we heard rumors about this game, we thought it might have been last year before it was shown in the summer. We thought like maybe like in November. So May actually makes a lot of sense. That like, 5-year development cycle.
Yeah,
almost to the day.
March.
Oh, was it?
March was Animal Crossing, and
I
Doom.
thought it was May 20th.
I think it's March.
You might be right, but I was going to say almost to the day. But yeah, that makes perfect sense. I'm stoked about the date.
March 20th.
Ah, damn. First time.
Yeah, first time for everything. Connor's wrong. We got him. First time is wild.
Yeah, it's just poking fun of myself, honestly. But I'm super stoked in this game. I am a little bit concerned about aspects of it, but as I said in the preview, like I trust id to give me something that I don't even know that I want.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I think I love the feel of Doom Eternal. Like I was saying with Nick playing Doom on PC, I'm like, you have to play Doom Eternal on PC. It feels so much better to fly around and be able to turn on a dime with mouse and keyboard, and like it has one of the best game feels I've ever experienced. So then with Doom, the Dark Ages going more slow and steady, tank, hang in the pocket, parry left to right, like original Doom. I immediately am like, well, I really just like what we just got.
I like what I got.
I could do more of that. Like, you don't need to change up the formula, but I respect them for being like, no, we're going to change it. We're going to do something different. We're going to bring it back to its roots, but also give you something new with like the pairing and the different melee systems and everything. That I'm stoked on that. Not really stoked on the idea of having a more involved story. Like I said, when it comes to Doom, I cannot tell you what the fuck happened in Doom 2016, and I don't think it really matters. And I love that game. Doom Eternal, I every single time story like came up, I was like, I just want to be playing this game. I just want to go in there and rip and tear. And for them to be like cutscenes and narrative, it's like, I don't really need that. Like, that's not exactly what I'm looking for when it comes to my Doom experience. But if they're going to do it, like I said, I trust id. I'm interested in it. I'm willing to give it a try. And is it really going to ruin the experience for me if I'm getting interrupted by cutscenes every hour and a half? No. So, like, whatever. But it's all about the gameplay when it comes to Doom, and I'm excited for what they showed. And I think, dude, some of the freakos that are in this game, it's like, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm pun intended. There we go. So I'm excited. And then May 15th, like I said, I think it makes sense. So
I do want to touch on the cutscenes. I think that it allows two things. One good thing for the player, one good thing for the dev team. It will, in my opinion, set up the you're on the dragon moment. It will set up the you're in the mech moment. And I do think that that's necessary because, like, to go and stilt you at all in Doom is frustrating. But I think from a gameplay development perspective, they might have been like, how the fuck are we going to, like, go from, like, running and gunning to, like, now you're getting on dragon. I can already see, like, they're like, all right, like, let's get in. Like, they're coming to the gates. We need to go to the skies. And then the Doomslayer's like, I'm on it.
Don't even need to explain it to me.
I
there needs to be I don't need any logic when it comes to Doom. Just let me rip a demon's head off.
But then the other nice part is I already know when I'm reviewing this thing, I'm going to be maybe at my PC, probably on my couch. I'm going to be playing for 3 hours. The cutscene's going to finish. And I'll be like, okay, that's a good breaking point. And that's going to be a little bit nice on my end. Lastly, this is less about Xbox itself, but it's more just about how excitements with video games. Ninja Gaiden 4 launching this fall. How stoked?
It's interesting because I would like to be into the Ninja Gaiden series. This will give me the opportunity to force myself to get into maybe the earlier titles. Maybe I'll just start with 4. I don't know. Maybe I'll play Black 2 or 2 Black, and it looks sick. But I would liken this announcement to The Witcher 4, where it's like, I understand that this is a big deal. I get it. It's just not for me. So, like, from like an analytical perspective, I'm like, yeah, that's awesome that this is coming back. But like in the moment, I'm like, cool, great. But we'll see if this is even for me at all. Like, same with The Witcher. It's like, I tried to get into The Witcher 3 and couldn't, and I would like to be into it. And we'll see if I'm ready to go by Witcher 4, and we'll see if I'm ready to go for Ninja Gaiden 4. And but when it comes to the announcement, I understand that it's a big deal, but for like a presentational standpoint, I'm not sure if I am as excited about it as others are. So,
I mean, for me, this is a simple, like it's not a slam dunk for me, like Kingdom Hearts 4 or even the Final Fantasy games coming over to Xbox that would have some level of excitement.
Right.
But it's also like you're like Dragon Quest 12. That would be fucking awesome. I'm like, I don't give a flying
Exactly.
ass about.
That's the case
Dragon,
with all
Dragon
video
Quest.
games.
Yeah.
There's always something for somebody, and something
Totally.
that something is just a complete no for
Yep.
other people.
But
So.
I will say though, when it comes to Ninja Gaiden, for it to be something that I'm not like all sold out on, they did a great job showing it off. It looks fucking awesome. It looks like a game that I would want to play. Even like Dragon Quest 12, like it might look awesome, but I probably won't play that one. You know. This looks like something I want to play, and then hopping into Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, dude, fuck yeah, Shadow Drop. If you can give me a Shadow Drop, like if teams in general can find a way to schedule me a Shadow Drop once every 6 months, I will blow up our stream schedule to play that Shadow Drop that night and hang out with the chat and experience that, because it is just too much fun. And then to play it last night, I'm not guaranteeing anything. I got a lot of games I'm playing right now, a lot, and then review season's going to start up, and then everything's going to be set aside. But part of me wants, like, it looks so good on Unreal Engine 5. I played it on my nice ass monitor. I'm just like, holy shit, this game looks awesome. It feels so much fun to play. There is definitely some issues with the camera. The camera's better, but there's still some issues from what I understand. Like, they did improve the camera. People were talking about it, but I'm like, there's still some issues. It's not perfect. This game is so much fun. And then the last boss fight I fought last night, I was like steamrolling some bosses, and then I had a little issue on the second one, but like I was yapping it up while I was fighting the second one. The last one, I was dialed in, and I get into it, and I got my ass handed to, so much so I was like, whoa, that is a spike in difficulty. Like you know when you're like, oh man, I didn't get a hit off, and I'm like, this is gonna be really tough. 5 or 6 attempts later, get it done. The fuck yeah moment. I'm like, I haven't had a difficult game in my life in a few months now. So excited to play Sifu on stream. Holy shit. But like, this is totally for me. It was super exciting. Are you going to hop into this?
I don't think I am, just for the same reasons that you just said.
Boom.
I know. I think it looks sick. I would like to play it. If I had infinite time and infinite resources, I'd be playing Ninja Gaiden.
Final Fantasy X can take a seat, my friend.
Nick,
I know I know it's PSP. I know.
PS Vita.
Okay,
put some respect on it. No, I'm just kidding.
His life. I got you.
But yeah, I'm really I'm excited that people are enjoying it, and I think it looks sick, but I don't know if I'm going to get to it just because we got Avowed right around the corner, and then game after that. It's just like, I don't know if I have time to be playing remasters on my in my free time for when I'm at home. So
I mean, but you're gonna, I assume, be playing retro stuff anyways. This is new retro. This is the perfect way to get me to play fucking video games,
right.
dude. From years past.
I'm gonna say that I was so busy, and then I ended up playing like Pikmin 2 or something.
Yeah. All right. Let's hop into story number 2.
1 hour in.
I mean, the podcast is gonna be out as long as it needs to be. Headline: EA blames underperformance of Dragon Age and EA FC 25 as it lowers forecast. This is Andy Robson at VGC. Quote: EA's initial guidance for its current fiscal year ending March 31st anticipated mid-single-digit growth from its live service games, including FC 25. However, the company warned the market on Wednesday that it now expects a mid-single-digit decline with an FC 25 slowdown during the Christmas period, accounting for the majority of the change. Separately, EA said on Wednesday that Dragon Age: The Veilguard, released in October, engaging around 1.5 million players during the 3 months ended December 31st, 2024, which it said was nearly half of its expectations. EA now expects a net booking of around $2.21 billion for its third quarter and an updated range of $7 to $7.15 billion for fiscal year, down from $7.5 to $7.8 billion. During quarter three, we continued, during quarter three, we continue to deliver high-quality games that experience across our portfolio. However, Dragon Age and EA Sports FC 25 underperformed our net bookings expectation, said EA CEO Andrew Wilson. End quote. Connor, let's start here. Dragon Quest is more our ball when we're talking about video games.
Dragon Age.
Dragon Age, not Dragon Quest. Man, we're just on the Dragon Quest wave. Dragon Age is a little bit more our wave. Does this underperformance make sense to you? And where do we go now with Dragon Age?
I think that when it comes to the quality of the game, when it comes to the divisiveness of the game, I think that it all lines up. I think that at the end of the day, Dragon Age just splits the middle on a lot of things with like hardcore Dragon Age fans, just hardcore RPG fans, people who like when it comes to the writing, people didn't really enjoy that. When it comes to the combat, there was people who loved it and some who didn't. Like some who say that the overarching story with the ending is like the best in BioWare's history, and some people feel like, I don't know what the fuck you're even talking about. Like there's just so much when it comes to Dragon Age, the Veilguard, that just was working against it, that like I think at the end of the day it's just not that interesting of a game to modern audiences. Like that, like we just aren't. We're not in the age of Dragon Age Origins, and it's taken forever. The last Inquisition 2014. We're talking about a decade of time in between it. That like, there's just a lot working against it. That I'm not shocked that we end up in this situation for Dragon Age. I worry about the future of the series, because I would like the series to continue, because I know that the hardcore fans are like really love Dragon Age. I've never been to the series. I've never played. I've never even played a second of it. So
you downloaded it.
Yeah, I know. I maybe I'll get back to it at some point, but I do love that BioWare structure of getting the characters and doing their side missions and growing with them together and building those relationships. And I heard that was a big part of the Veilguard. I keep wanting to say Inquisition for some reason. A big part of the Veilguard, and it all ties up at the ending, and I'm like, that sounds really interesting to me, and I do think if I were to put in the time that I would enjoy it.
I think you would love this game,
but it's just the mixed reception just put me off of it. That like I usually if I'm already excited about something, I'll play it no matter what.
Yeah.
Even if there's like people are mixed on The Last of Us Part 2. Like some people hate it and some people love it, and you could say that about the Veilguard as well. But for this, I already wasn't sure if I was interested in the first place. So to have that tear on both sides, being pulled from both sides, I'm just like, I don't know, like if I really want to invest that amount of time. Like it's not a short game by any means.
And you had busy season kicking up. So it's just like when you come home, do you really want to go and play something that is divisive, or do you want a guaranteed, hey, I'm going to just enjoy something on the Vita for 30 to 45?
So it's not shocking when it comes to the sales figures. I thought it would be a little bit higher, but I am worried about the future of BioWare. It has now been since 2014 that they've made a certified hit that has sold very well. And even then, you're talking about Inquisition, which in their history is not looked at as like this crown jewel by any means. It's not Mass Effect 2.
I mean, the nice part is it gets brought up every time we talk Game of the Year stuff. So
right. So I guess it's on people's minds. But like, am I confident in the future of Mass Effect? Absolutely not. Like most of the people who made Mass Effect 2 and 3 like aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
Like BioWare is a company in name only when it comes to like their history and like where they are now. Like they are basically just a new company, and you kind of have to just take it as that they're making BioWare type games. Yeah. They're trying their best to recapture that magic, and it's really hard to do that when you're mimicking or trying to chase after your history. And I think that in the long run, I like, you could be like, oh, it's a return to form. So like they tried and they didn't succeed with Dragon Age the Veilguard. That like for Mass Effect, it's like, yeah, they should just go back to what worked with Mass Effect 2 and 3. And it's like, well, they did that here and it didn't work. So like we'll see. Like, but man, it is disappointing.
It is very interesting. I do think that this game did suffer quite a bit from the marketing efforts of people tearing it down. Like this game was surrounded in people before anyone got their hands on the sticks, people being upset about random bullshit and like just stupid stuff. The fact that every single time Dragon Age got brought up on social media, there was somebody in the comments being a dick to it, even though they never touched the game. So I like seeing that it didn't perform well is like shocking. For it to be 50% of what they expected is beyond shocking. But like I understand being like, oh, Dragon Age selling 3 million. If that's what they projected Dragon Age to sell, it doesn't sound too insane to me. Like,
right.
But for it to only sell 1.5, I do think that this game had a few different large issues when it came to what it was trying to do. And the biggest one was, hey, when you're talking about stories and characters and like fucking nailing it, the fact that you are only hitting some of your players like sweet spot, basically, like in like warming the hearts of the players or tearing them down and making them sad and like having those high emotions while you're playing this game through its story. That's not what BioWare is known for. They're known for capturing everyone. They're known for capturing every single player that plays Mass Effect 2, caring about these fucking characters for that final mission. So I understand that like the sales figures aren't there, but I just don't know where BioWare goes next with the series and everything, because it's just like, do people want another Dragon Age? Combat in the game is some of the best combat all year. Like, it is really rock solid when it comes to an action adventure game. And I just think that the characters were fine. I played 10 hours of it for transparency's sake. I didn't like fall in love with it, but I was never bored. But like, I also wasn't like, oh, I need to get back to Dragon Age. And that type of game nowadays, we talk about all the time. Like, you can't make 7 out of 10 games nowadays. You can't make 7.5s if you want to like actually hit your sales quotas. You need to fucking come out swinging with bangers. And the fact that this wasn't a certified banger definitely destroys it. And then when you're talking about EAFC, it's a conversation of just like how much battle pass like or ultimate team cards are you selling and everything, and that's a different financial goal.
I also think I wonder how the name changed. This is the second year that they've been FC instead of FIFA, and I wonder if that affects anything. But you and I are total novices when it comes to FIFA and sports games in general. Like, I dabble, but I don't think I've touched a FIFA game since the 2010s. So yeah, but back to Dragon Age real fast. Like, it's just, I do wonder, like you touched on like the conversation outside of the merits of like how the game like actually is to like play, or the writing is, or the story is. And I wonder how much just that ends up resulting in sales being hurt. Like, I am curious like how discourse on Twitter ends up like absolutely destroying sales number, and I wonder how the market is gonna adapt to that. And I hope that people are still brave enough to just tell interesting, powerful stories and pave new paths that they can go down and tell interesting stuff, even if it's gonna be not for everybody. So I hope this doesn't really just discourage those types of conversations from being had in video games. So we'll see. I think if a game is great, a game is great. I want very diverse stories and from different perspectives of like across the board. I would like to see that. So hopefully that this doesn't discourage people from at least trying in the future. So we'll see. I wonder how EA as a corporate overlord is going to react to this for BioWare, and like if there's going to be any directives on how they should handle their future games. So I wonder how that's going to affect the Mass Effect, but we'll see going forward. Yeah.
Yeah. The last thing though that I want to touch on for the point you just said before moving on to the next story was, I do think that when we're talking about Dragon Age and like the storm that was Twitter and TikTok and a lot of people just immediately being the worst about inclusivity and stuff like that, is we're talking about a game that like, it wasn't a pillar that was like sturdy already, where it was like, it's Dragon Age, like I'm excited, but even like Dragon Age fans were like, oh, I wanted them to go and stick with like don't make it an action RPG and everything. And then there were fans that were just like, well, I want X, Y, and Z with this game. It already wasn't like guaranteed, where there are other games, and I'm like, certain like discourse on things like Intergalactic, I'm like, 99% of the people already are just like, it's Naughty Dog, it's gonna be fucking awesome. And then there's just like those loud fucking annoying ass people on the internet that are gonna be stupid when it comes to anything in the industry that isn't exactly what they want. But yeah, I think that Dragon Age was like, already it had some holes, and then when the overwhelming, loud, annoying, obnoxious people on the internet are also like coming out and being like, fuck this game for X, Y, or Z, it affects that game a lot more, because it already was not like a sturdy pillar that like could handle the Twitter storm. And
like
everything.
The Last of Us Part 2 comes out and is controversial for X, Y, and Z, and it still sells 10 million copies.
Yeah,
it's like, if the game is great, the game is great, and it's going to sell a bunch. And I think Dragon Age, the Veilguard, is just not that great of a video.
I don't think and I sure as hell don't think it's great enough to handle the storm outside of it. Moving on to story number 3. Insomniac Games founder and president Ted Price is retiring. This is Tom Ivan at BGC. Quote, Insomniac Games founder and president Ted Price has announced that he's retiring. Having founded the Spider-Man and Ratchet & Clank studio in February 1994, Price will leave the games industry in March. Following his departure, Insomniac veterans Chad Desrin, Ryan Schneider, and Jen Huang will serve as co-studio heads. Price said in a statement published on Insomniac's parent company Sony's website, quote, "I've actually made this decision last year. For me, after over 30 years of leading Insomniac, I felt it was simply time to step aside and let others pave the way for our team," end quote. This is an interesting one.
He's been around for a long time, dude. Like, he's a legend.
Yeah, and first and foremost, shout out to Ted Price. Congratulations on the amazing career. But this now puts, in my opinion, the question is, we have the Wolverine director
we're
leaving.
tenfold capping this? I don't know.
Go
ahead.
We have Ted Price going. It feels like there's a lot of movement at Insomniac. And once again, like, Ted Price had a phenomenal career. This is not on him to have that discussion. But we're talking about now there's new studio heads. Now there's people. I could see these these three people being like, all right, what is the game plan under our new administration, I guess is the word for it. What are we going to go and push and like have be our legacy? How are we going to start this out on our terms? And it might be stay the course and let's get Wolverine out the door and whatever. Or it might be to shake things up. But when we're talking about strong pillars in the games industry, Ted Price is one of those pillars.
Yeah.
We're now removing it. Sony's already struggling. It's an interesting spot to be for sure.
Can you look up how old Ted Price is?
Yeah, sure.
I feel like he just got to have been in it for a long time and probably wants out. He could never work a day in his life again and be totally fine. Like,
I don't think that this is.
But you're right. There is some credence to what you're saying.
Well, no, I don't think that he's leaving because Insomniac is in a bad spot. I cannot find his age. That Insomniac's in like a bad spot or anything. I think that this is just a man that is just like, I'm good to go. And that's totally fine. But now we do need to talk about on a show like this the after effect of somebody like this leaving. I'm not saying that he's leaving because Insomniac's in a bad spot right now.
I thought you were full on tenfold capping, like the creative director leaves from or whoever it was for Wolverine, and then Ted Price is out now. It's like, oh, there might be something going on. But
no, I'm not. Trust me. No,
I thought. I mean, that's possible. Well, like, it could be a thing.
I was also talking very frantically in that moment.
No,
but yeah, I do think that Ted leaving is like, once again, this is not a causation sort of deal. Like this isn't caused by something. I think that it is just a man that is good to go. I looked up how old is Ted Price. I can't find it.
I'm looking for it.
But I do think that it's a necessary step for somebody. Like, we're talking about industry leaders. Shuhei Yoshida just retired after 31 years at PlayStation. Ted Price, 30 years at Insomniac. Like, we're talking about this is going to happen. Or some of these young studs in the industry are going to roll out soon because that's just how it goes. The people age and want to do different shit and are wanting to move on to bigger and brighter things. But like you said, Ted Price probably doesn't need to work another day in his life and he can just fully walk off into the sunset. But it does, in my opinion, leave Insomniac in a really interesting spot, because when we talk about and when we predict what's going to be happening in the next few years in PlayStation and everything, it's like, all right, are we getting an Insomniac game for the rest of this generation? I would have said yes, or guaranteed, but now it's like, okay, we have studio heads moving around. We have a director that just left Wolverine. I hope and I pray that there is internal talk at this point cooking up the next Ratchet & Clank game, because Wolverine might not work out. Let's get out a 10 to 15 hour Ratchet game.
Wasn't there a story that they are always working on Ratchet technically, like with a small team?
They have like 8 people working on it to get one out a generation or whatever. And once again, fuck yeah, that's how you do it. Yeah. That's what it's all about. But yeah,
Ted Price is 53.
Okay,
younger. I would say he probably goes somewhere else. I
mean, it says retiring, but it could just be he's moving on for. I mean,
you see this a lot in this industry and other industries. People kind of say they want to let other people kind of come into their role and take over the company, and then they go and work somewhere else.
What if he gets who's making Perfect Dark? It's
I have no idea.
It's the Quad A Studio team initiative.
Okay, I thought you were talking about an individual, like somebody. No. I was like,
it's the initiative, right?
Yeah.
What if he also gets poached by the initiative?
Yeah, I'm working at the initiative now.
He gets the head, because that's where the director for Wolverine went.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he got brought in to the Perfect Dark team. I'm like, what if they just, hey, Ted, you know how to make banger games. Let's bring you in the fold too.
I mean, he could just be done.
Yeah.
That's I think that would be perfectly reasonable as well. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, shout out to the legend. We'll see how everything kind of goes from here. But what a career. So.
Well, yeah, seriously. I mean, when you think about Insomniac, you're talking about an A-tier studio, and under his leadership, it has been nothing but creative ideas and pushing the medium of gaming forward. So shout out to the legend.
I recognize this guy's face from like E3 for like a decade, it feels like.
We talk about having to have recognizable faces in the industry. He is one of them for sure. Moving on to the next story. Team Cherry breaks Hollow Knight Silksong radio silence. Quote, yes, it's real, progressing, and will release. End quote. This is Tom Ivan at VGC. Quote, Team Cherry has provided a rare status update on Hollow Knight Silksong. Quote, yes, the game is real, progressing, and will release, end quote. Matthew Griffin, who handles PR and marketing for the title, wrote on X in response to a plea for information about the highly anticipated sequel. Before you get in your zone, before you get in your Duffy, and you get in your bag, I want to start. Because you've said this many times, and I've given you your spotlight in this moment. I need to go and just let the people know. This is almost more unacceptable than staying radio silent. And I know that developing a game is extremely difficult, and there are going to be issues and mistakes, and shit's going to happen. I get it. This is, at this point, becoming ridiculously unacceptable. I'm all for teams taking their time. This is not an update. If you are going to update, fucking say something. That's like, it's like we're hanging out and we're doing plans and we're trying to figure out like, hey, we're getting sushi later tonight. You in? And it's the person who goes and is just like, yeah, I might show up. That is not an update. That is just frustrating. That is annoying to some regard. That is, for a marketing aspect, as somebody that studied marketing and knows decently well how to market some shit in their life, completely nothing. And to have a headline that is from Team Cherry pop up and for it to be the biggest nothing burger of all time, I think, once again, paints them in an even worse light than they were already in by saying nothing. With that being said, it's nice to know that it still exists.
Of course it still exists.
It's nice to know that it's not canceled. And that's cool. But I'm at the point where it's like, cool, I'm not putting Hollow Knight on my backlog schedule for my top 10 need to get to this year, because I don't think it's releasing this year at this point. If you had something to say, you would have said it. If they were waiting for something like the Switch 2 announcement or for a showcase in June, they would have stayed quiet until then. Mm-hmm. This game is not releasing this year.
Hey, we're shooting for this year. Hey, we're not going to make it this year. That's the update.
Exactly.
Like, why? Just slap me in the face instead, please. Like, this is ridiculous. What a just like almost pretentious way of updating your fans that are just frothing at the mouth to get any detail on this game. Hey, it still exists. It's happening. Yeah, no shit, dude. Like, man, it sucks. Has there ever been a game with more pressure on it? An indie game, rather, with more pressure on it than Hollow Knight Silksong?
I don't think so.
This game is fucked, no matter what.
Yeah.
It better be the greatest indie game of all time at this point for it to meet the expectations that people seem to have. Not what I seem to have. I like Hollow Knight. I'm excited for it. They are setting themselves up at this point, and the audience is setting themselves up at this point for just a shit show if this isn't the absolute bee's knees. It needs to be fucking amazing, dude. It needs to be essentially perfect for it to meet this mythical status that whether it's warranted for them because of how long it's taken, like, I don't know, but like they are not helping themselves.
They are not being the good guy in the situation. They have the chance when we're talking about indie teams, and I want to make this very clear. We're still rooting for Team Cherry. Take your time, go and do your thing.
Right.
Make a great game. But you are legitimately shooting yourself in the goddamn foot by going and being like, we're working on it. That is nothing. What they should have either stayed silent, or they should have, and it didn't need to be a release date. But it will. How about give us the Nintendo answer of you'll get more information later and put a date on it. And if it still is the, hey, like, we're still working on it, and like make that very clear. Hey, we'll have an update for you in about 3 months, and we're just gonna update you guys every 3 months on how things are progressing. But like, we at this point, like, internally don't know exactly what's going to be the timeline on this, so we don't feel like we're equipped, but we want to give you information is so important to consumers, especially. Didn't this thing start on Kickstarter and people put money and funding into this?
The original, not
Okay,
this,
I thought that they did for the DLC aspect of it, which is now
maybe.
Silksong.
I don't know.
But like, even if not, there are fucking consumers out there that love your product. And you're in a really privileged spot to be in that position that people are really excited about your thing. Maybe go and consider those people. Once again, it's not us. I'm not stoked on Silksong. I think that it's going to be a great game. I think I'm going to play it. I'm excited about it. But it's not like something that I am, when we're doing the conversation about Xbox Developer Direct, what can that game be? It's not going to excite me the same way that Resident Evil 9 or Kingdom Hearts 4 or the remake would. But it's like, cool, this is exciting. There are people that are so... Once again, I think obnoxious is just the best word for it. When it comes to these events at this point, they're just like, if it doesn't have this, it's the worst event ever. They're setting themselves up for failure with stuff like this. I don't like seeing it. I want them to go and either be a little bit more transparent or continue saying nothing. Because we've gone from, you've said it many times, and I've tried to give this team the benefit of the doubt multiple times. When you say it, you're like, this is getting embarrassing. I'm like, I know, but like, if you don't have anything to say, don't say anything at all. They said something and it was nothing. That is insane.
It's even worse.
That is worse.
The worst possible outcome here is this statement.
For me, this was the moment that I saw that pop up, and I'm just like, now I'm angry.
Yeah.
I'm so difficult to make angry when it comes to games industry stuff, especially when it's like, oh, we're delaying a game. 9 times out of 10, I'm like, that's totally fine. I don't fucking care.
Right.
Like, or whatever. Just let us know. Communication. Even if you don't have the communication, I'm okay with bad news. Just give me the fucking news. We're doing a show about news, goddammit, and this news story is not a news story, but I still have to fucking put it in here because this team is forcing us to go and talk about it. I just want to stop talking about.
Right.
I just want to stop talking about it. I just want it to be out there.
Say we're shooting for 2025, but we might not hit it. That's
better.
it.
That's better.
So then we can stop talking about it, or it's not going to happen in 2025.
Yeah.
And if you're uncertain and you cannot give that detail, then just don't say anything, I guess. But either way, like, I feel like something needs to be said that is more concrete than this. Just anything. Even if they show a trailer at this point, and it's not with the release date, it's like
imagine?
Oh my goodness. Well, last time I was racking my brain. 2023 summer. The Xbox showcase.
No, that was earlier because I didn't live here yet. I think it was 2022.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That was the last time we saw it.
Silksong latest trailer, I believe so.
Oh my goodness.
2022 Xbox June 12th Game Pass reveal trailer.
And it was supposed to come out in the first half of 2023, right?
It was supposed to be. They did the 12. Everything you'll see here is going to be in 12 months.
Oh my
so now
God.
here we are in 2025.
Yeah, dude, this is crazy. They, like I said, like I think this game is going to be treated unfairly by the hype around it, and I think that sucks for Team Cherry. I think it sucks for the audience. I think they're in a lose-lose situation. It needs to, like, if it is not perfect, essentially, like, it is going to be treated unfairly.
This was the point where I think the audience has been kind of ridiculous with this game, and that's a frustrating spot for Team Cherry. I now am a little bit upset with that team for being like, this is a misstep by this team.
Right.
That's what it truly is, and you can't blame Team Cherry for the audience being wild about this game. Mm-hmm. You can't blame them for a marketing person coming out and saying a nothing burger.
What if it gets canceled?
I think there's a chance it does.
I feel I haven't even thought about that as a possibility until right now, but there's a shot that it just doesn't even exist anymore.
Speaking of games getting canceled, next story, the next game from Celeste developer has been canceled. This is Jordan Miller at VGC. Quote, Celeste developer Extremely OK Games has canceled its next game, Earthblade. The game, which was announced in 2021, has been canceled due to internal development issues as well as a dispute between Celeste's creator over the rights to the IP, it is said. End quote. There's more details about the turmoil in between that.
I've seen some of it.
Yeah, it's a lot, but at the end of the day, once again, shout out to Extremely OK Games for making great titles, and this is a huge bummer at this point.
Great title. I think they've only made Celeste.
Oh, okay. Yeah, title.
Yeah. extreme bummer. I was so looking forward to this 0-1 for my predictions for 2025, or I get like half. I still have the opportunity for half points if Mina the Hollower comes out. Bummed about this. Now I imagine hopefully they can use some of the assets, some of the work that they did on Earthblade, and we're not 4 years out from the next extremely okay games game, but I think they're probably starting from scratch, and we're in that situation, and that sucks because I love Celeste. I think Celeste is one of the greatest games of all time. I trust this team to put out something of high quality, and I guess if there's disputes and there's development issues that they just scrapped it and said, okay, we're done. We're not going to put this out. I respect that decision, but it is disappointing.
Little behind the scenes, I was 100% hoping this fell to me at 11 in our draft. Yeah. This would have been my first pick overall.
Nice.
And so it's a bummer. Like, I had extremely high expectations for this game because Celeste is just one of the best games out there. And this is such a bummer that it's not out there. But the fact that I was like ready to pull trigger on it and like go and get it on my squad and everything for Fantasy Critic, this is a huge bummer. And honestly, now I got to get back to the drawing board of what's my 101.
Yeah, they saved you.
Yeah. All right. I mean, like if you did a fantasy draft with more than like 5 people, you probably had this picked up. And
right.
So shout out to the transparency from the team, letting us know when they know and making that release. I believe. Oh, this is not our final story. Next story, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 won't be a PS6 exclusive, producer promises. This is Chris Scullion at BGC. Little bit of a longer story. You can cut me off if you feel like we got the most of it already. But there's some just fun tidbits in here that I wanted to keep as much of the story as possible in there. Once again, Chris Scullion at BGC, quote, "The first part of Final Fantasy VII Remake was initially a PS4 exclusive before coming to PS5 and PC more than a year later. Because of the length of time required to develop each part, some have speculated that the as-yet untitled third part of the trilogy may continue to trend and may release exclusively on PS6. However, series producer Yoshinori Kitase says players don't have to worry about this being the case. In an interview with Japanese publisher or publication 4Gamer, Kitase had it put to him by the interviewer that for those quote, for those who have played FF7 Remake on PS4 and FF7 Rebirth on PS5, I think there may be some concern that the third work will be for the next generation console. Kitase laughed and replied, quote, "No, you can rest assured about the next one," end quote. I'll read that one more time. Quote, "No, you can rest assured about the next one," end quote. Kitase added that the work of the third part started, quote, "right after Rebirth ended in March-April 2024. So we've been developing it for about 9 months already," end quote. It should be noted that Kitase's comments don't necessarily mean that Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 won't be exclusive to PlayStation consoles when it's released, simply that it won't be exclusive to PS6. I'll stop it there.
It's coming to PS5 first, for sure.
I think that this is
all but confirmation.
For sure. Like, there's stories that are coming off of this story, and I'm happy that shout out to Chris Scullion, right? Shout out for him for throwing that in there, being like, this doesn't confirm that it's not going to be exclusive for a window when it comes to PS5. I think that this is for sure is him just being like, nope, this game's coming to PS5. We're getting it done before PS6. And I think even further in the article, in the interview, him being like, we've been working on it for 9 months already, is that like conversational aspect of like, if you and I were talking about something, it is just a normal natural thing to be like, yeah, it's not coming to PS6. We've been working on it for a while. Like, that through line makes a lot of sense, and those details being thrown into this article make a lot of sense. I think that this is PS5. I think that this is honestly, I would expect it to be exclusive, and I think that this is somewhat confirmation that there's a chance Game Awards this year we see the announcement of the title of it and everything, and we could get it by 2027 early.
What was the roadmap for
2022 summer? We got the announcement in the first trailer, the ones in the clouds and coming down.
And it was 2020 when
Remake
came out. Okay.
So it was 2 years and some change. I'm saying that this, because it was February, we're 2 years and 3 months versus 1 year and 10 months.
Okay.
That's not too crazy of a push.
I guess. I mean, it's
and
possible.
Now we're also
I just
talking
can't
about
see
an overworld that is already done, Connor.
Yes. I understand. Like, I I hope this game is sooner than later, obviously. And there's a lot of information that is lining up to lend to the fact that it could be, like we said, with the world already being built for the most part, asset flip, so on and so forth. Didn't they say they're switching to UE5?
It was a conversation of, are we going to switch to UE5? And they're like, well, we're thinking about it. They're not switching to UE5.
I would like it on UE5, but also I understand the reason. You just keep what's working, and it looks great.
This game looks so good already.
Yeah.
You now understand the systems even better. You have great software like the PS5 Pro out there. You have people playing on PC that are able to run this game amazingly well and make it look fucking beautiful, even more so than the initial does on not performance mode, on fidelity mode. The game looks great. I think that this game is soon,
right,
or sooner than expected.
I mean, when 2027?
27, yeah, early 27. I think that they try to line it up and do 30 years and. Great, good for you guys. Like, this is one of the giants in games. And I think that now looking at what 2025 and 2026 is, I think that Square needs to go and look to something like Dragon Quest and Kingdom Hearts, put them out on other systems. But I really do think that the PlayStation exclusivity thing was already like, hey, the whole trilogy needs to come out for time exclusivity for PlayStation. I think that will remain the case. Let's put, I know Square is moving on to a more multi-platform thing because apparently FF16 and FF7 Rebirth initially underperformed compared to their expectations. And I think that this is just like all lining up to be, hey, we're going to get Dragon Quest maybe this year. We get Ep.4 next year. And then 2027, we get the remake.
If we get Dragon Quest this year, I think it'll be a miracle.
Yeah.
But they need something. And that feels like the only thing that makes sense.
Could be Ep.4.
If we go a whole year without a major Square Enix game, I think that would be weird. But I think the dominoes are lining up at this point that it seems like that is going to be the case, and they're going to start falling in 2026 rather than 2025.
I mean, we're in a really weird spot because we've now seen what Xbox is cooking up, even from, hey, Square, we've worked with you before. Do you have something to show? Do you want to show something here? And they said no. Either they didn't have anything or they didn't show up. And then we have PlayStation probably, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was Nate the Hate, who is a leaker and everything, was like February for State of Play, which like the grass is green. Like, there's going to be a State of Play at I mean, at this point, I don't think it's end of January because it would be this week. And I feel like we would have heard more rumblings. But we'll probably end a State of Play in February. And then it's Nintendo in April, and then we're in showcase season where it's either a major State of Play or it's a Sony showcase. I don't think we're going to get a Nintendo Direct in the summer, maybe September. And then June showcase for PlayStation or for Xbox. There's only so many times that you can announce a game as of right now that will come out this year. It really feels like it's either State of Play or April for Nintendo. And that's really it for the games that can come out this year. Do you think that Dragon Quest kind of makes sense for April, Connor?
It would make sense for PlayStation, I think, more so.
Okay.
Well, at the very least, Dragon Quest 11 was exclusive to PS4 at first.
At first, yeah.
And then the definitive edition came to Switch after the fact. I think I might be off base there.
Yeah, we've had this exact discussion.
Yeah.
Somebody get in the comments, please. Matt, get in the comments. I know you watch the show.
So I think that it would make sense for it to be associated with PlayStation. I know that there's been rumors of development struggles behind the scenes, and then the passing of Toriyama. I'm getting his first name wrong.
I don't know.
Okay, the passing of Toriyama last year certainly could have some effect on it, of course. But yeah, I think that if you're going to have a big Square game this year, it would be Dragon Quest. I think it could be at the State of Play. But I'm going to keep predicting this until it finally is right, I guess. This is my new Uncharted 4, or Uncharted 5, rather.
Oh, man. I can't wait to do the PlayStation rest of the generation episode with you at this point because it's just like...
See, kind of funny did one? Like, they read our minds. Well, there's also a lot going on right now.
Yeah,
that, I mean, it makes sense.
There's so much news to break down. But yeah, it is very interesting to go and have PlayStation where they're at. But when we're talking about the remake, bringing it back to the story, obviously this whole conversation is about offshoots and everything. But I do think that 2027, we've said it since the release last year, 2027, it makes sense. Hey, 4-ish year cycle. We can get this done in about 3. But when I say 2027, I don't think like first half of 2027 for sure.
But could we be pushing up against PS6 at the end of 2027?
If you had to throw out when the PS6 comes out, where are you at this point?
I hope it's 2028 personally. Just give more time for more games to come out to define the console, you know?
I think it's 28 or even 29. Where like, because it's at the point where it's so iterative. Like, what is the jump from PS5 to PS6 that allows you to go and even have a new number on it? It's really tough.
I don't think they give a shit about that.
Well, yeah, no, I think the overall consoles.
I think the overarching conversation about it might be like, well, it's just a step, like it is with the Switch 2 right now.
Yeah,
where it's like, oh, it's so iterative. It's like,
but we're also
the numbers aren't going to matter at the end of the day.
We are also talking about from Switch. Like, there is a issue on the Switch. The Switch 2 hopefully will rectify that issue. There is not going to be an issue when the PS5 releases until I
don't think you're ever going to have an issue with any of these consoles. The thing, just they're old and crusty, and you need to update it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get new Sorry, go ahead.
As of right now with the PS5, I think that we're chilling.
You get new graphics cards every 3 years or whatever it is at this point, maybe less. I don't really keep up, but I feel like we just got the announcement of the 40 series, and now
the 50 series is out in a week.
It's like, okay, damn, like those are moving so fast. There's obviously demand for just the next upgrade, just make things a little bit prettier, a little bit, the ray tracing trace harder.
The ray traces.
Yeah. So, I think that there might be some groans if it's 2027, but I don't think it'll matter for sales overall. But do you have the bit about Nomura finishing the story?
No,
the scenario. Yeah, so Nomura finished the scenario. Has given it to the director
Kitase.
Yeah. So they're done with that. But the fact that he just got handed the full scenario makes me think that it's not extremely
do we know that he just
close.
Handed it, or
that's what he said in the article that I read.
Okay.
I think it's probably in the same interview, I'd imagine. But I think if that's the case, then it's not like right around the corner. But I imagine that that's something that gets ironed out. You can be working on other things while the story is still being finished up.
Yeah, for sure. It is really exciting, though. I'm going to pull in Ryan Dinsdale. This is from yesterday. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 has a completed story at Square Enix. This is Ryan Dinsdale at IGN. This is basically Hamaguchi, the director, said development on the highly anticipated conclusion is progressing smoothly. Quote, I'm very satisfied with the story, so I'm sure fans will be satisfied with the final chapter, Kitase said, adding that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's creative director, Tetsuya Nomura, gave him homework to ensure that this was the case. The story of Part 3, which is currently lacks an official name or release window, was required to have a respect for the original Final Fantasy VII, along with the new level of satisfaction not felt in the game, Kitase said. I'm trying to see if there's like any details in this, but yeah, it seems that the story is finished up and everything.
Put some respect on Nomura, everybody. Get ready for a crazy ride.
I want this finale to be so off the fucking walls. I feel like we got another drop in the bucket for the off-the-wallsness of Rebirth. I want this shit to be insane by the end of it. If I had my druthers, things would start out in the story. We know where we're heading to. If you play the original Final Fantasy VII, you know the first story beat, the first major story beat we get is going to be a major story beat when it comes to the entire narrative of Final Fantasy VII. I'm looking forward to this game quite a bit.
I mean, I can't wait, but just on the Nomura aspect of it all, it's like I feel so vindicated as somebody who's followed this man's career since I was cognizant of video games and Kingdom Hearts. People bashing on him for so long. Oh, Nomura ruins everything. Nomura sucks. Okay. Yeah, we all love Final Fantasy VII and 7 Rebirth, and Kingdom Hearts is awesome. So yeah, kick rocks.
Final story for you. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 was the best-selling game of 2024. This is Mike Straw at Insider Gaming. Quote, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 was the best-selling game of 2024 in the United States. The news was announced on January 23rd by Circana's Matt Piscatella. Black Ops 6 took over the top sport that had long been held by I assume that that's the type of top spot that had been long held by EA Sports College Football 2020 or 25 since its launch in December. With Black Ops 6 releasing at the end of October, that means it took just over 2 months for the latest of Activision to reach the top spot. The list for the best games of 2024. Number 1 is COD BO6, EA College Football 25, Helldivers 2, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, NBA 2K25, Madden NFL 25. Of course, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 dominates in there too because of the rest of that year of game. FC 25, Elden Ring because of Erdtree, and then many other sports games, some other games, and then at like 17 is Rebirth and Tekken 8, which I mean that is people having some actual taste.
Tekken 8 at 18?
18, I believe, yes. I brought in 20, but it didn't pull in the numbers. So,
interesting.
Connor, did this shock you at all? Does this excite you? COD Stays
Dragon
King?
Ball being that high, wild.
Yeah.
I mean, that game took over for like 2 weeks, and then I feel like nobody's talking about it now. But like, it must have sold very well in that time. I wonder how the Dragon Ball faithful feel about that game at this point.
I think that they're still about it.
Are they?
I believe
Still rocking it?
Yeah, there's no like that game is such a deep title. It is very interesting to go and have this list be like have those fighting games on there. And then I think the big shout out is Helldivers 2.
Helldivers 2, yeah.
Like that is a insane spot for that to be the third highest selling game of the year. To beat out things like 2K and Madden is such a feather in the cap that I know we talked about how much we don't want live service from PlayStation. When you do that, when you fucking pull it off in a major way and it sells boatloads, I think that it is very exciting.
Yeah, it's interesting when it comes to all of this. Looking at the list and being like, man, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth so good, and Tekken as well. And they don't meet. I think Tekken met sales expectations, but Rebirth didn't. It's like, yeah, damn, like that should have. I imagine that would be way higher. But then when you see it's below like GTA 5 and Minecraft, it's like, damn, that game didn't do that well.
I mean, but GTA 5 and Minecraft will sell boatloads every year.
It's a game from 2013, though. Like, I understand that it's huge, but like, also, like, you would expect a new release to just even sell millions of copies, enough to like eke over the likes of a game that came out in 2013.
If I was setting up my buddy Santiago, I bring him up all the time, Astrobot and The Last of Us, that's what he started out with his PS5 journey. It would not shock me if it's Christmas Day and he's like, hey man, I need something to play. I'm really excited about certain titles. And I'm like, are you a Rockstar guy? And he's like, what's Rockstar? I'm just like, oh, that's exciting. GTA and Red Dead. He's like, oh, I've never played GTA 5. Like, there are people that still have not played GTA 5 that is a must-purchase title.
How is that possible?
I don't know.
Then Dragon's Dogma 2 doing as well as it did, and Hogwarts Legacy hanging on. That game is
number 11.
Powerhouse. Yep. Like,
we talk about major IP all the time, dude, where like if you pull in the right IP, the fact that there hasn't been a banger Harry Potter game in a long time, I mean, this is one of the biggest IPs ever.
And even with that, like, Hogwarts Legacy, neither of us have played it, like, is apparently a good video game. Not like this revolutionary, excellent game, but like it's the IP, and people have that childhood history with Harry Potter and growing up on that series. So that whatever the sequel is going to do gangbusters as well, as long as it's decent.
People want to live in that world. The last thing that I'll leave us off on with this story is Call of Duty BO6. Do you expect the next iteration of Call of Duty to like absolutely destroy for this year, this upcoming one?
What do you mean, for it to like hold on, BO6 to keep going?
For BO6 to hold on, for the next iteration to come out and automatically, when we do this story next January, do you think it's going to come out and hold that title?
Probably. I mean, that's a safe bet. GTA. Yes.
GTA 6.
Okay, but then otherwise though, like, what do you even think the next Call of Duty is?
The word on the street is BO2 remake. The word like there's a bunch of other stuff.
Really? That they're going to skip a year of an official release? Yeah, and it just like, be BO2 remake?
Yeah, there's it's the MW3 aspect of it where it's going to potentially be BO6 like cloned, but it's going to be BO2 and everything.
Oh. No.
Do you know with the MW3?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I really hope that's not the case. If they're going to do BO2 remake, just do BO2 remake. Like, don't, like, I want it like Modern Warfare remastered or whatever it
Yeah,
was.
2019.
Yeah, no, Modern Warfare remastered. Like
2017 or 16 when that came out?
no, so with Infinite Warfare.
Yep. So 2016 or 2017.
I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Time is an illusion. I had my years all turned around. Yes, whatever that was, where it's a full multiplayer suite. It looks like a ground up remake or whatever. The campaign looks amazing. That's what I want from a BO2 remake. I do not want them to put other guns in the game or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I want to recapture that feeling and just not like nobody. I feel like if you go and play MW3 and you're running around on MW2 maps, you're not like, that's not what people want. They want to play Modern Warfare 2. They don't want to play like with the other guns.
When people talk about Game Pass being like, turn on the servers basically and give us these games for free from Activision, it's like, dude, they're never going to do that. They're going to go and re-release these games for another $70 and we're going to buy them because they're really fun.
If they do BO2 remake and like it's an actual like from the ground up just BO2 but looks prettier, that would be awesome.
I'm going to buy the shit out of it.
That would
play
be
the fuck out of it.
With all the zombies maps and all the DLC, that is perfect. And I think that you could convince a lot of people that is the right idea here to do that. But
and obviously too, you'd assume that like dev time and everything wouldn't be as intensive as coming up with a brand new idea.
Throw it into UE5. I don't know how that works. I know nothing about that.
Throw it in, just mix it up with some veggies.
Like, just make that happen. Like, do what you did with Ninja Gaiden 2 Black or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, perfect. Just make it look better and shit it out. If that's your full Call of Duty release, that will sell 20 million copies at least. So, okay.
All right. Obviously, at the end of every show, we need to thank our Patreon dearly beloved members. You guys are the people that keeps the lights and mics on, make this dream become a reality. So shout out to Charlie W,
Austin L,
Bag of Soup,
Calvin M,
Crispy,
DJ Zach B,
Ryan A,
JC,
Uli,
Jacob D,
Brian V.D,
Big Mac,
just a Big Mac? Not
Big Mac.
There we go. Metal Nate,
Zrilix,
the Patty Cake,
Dom,
thank you, Holden M,
Joe P,
Shano,
Colin C,
Brock,
Voodoo,
Dr. Pookie Bear,
Alex the Golden,
New Amsterdam,
Master Diz,
Jesse F,
Ponster,
Gloomy,
Bad Fella,
Drifter X1, Skirt,
Hope,
Presto,
Maverick,
Goops,
J-Matt B3,
Ali Benally,
Daniel L,
Michael B,
General G Dog,
Vorpal Matt.
Brian.
Thank you so much. This has been your episode of Casual Gaming News Conversation with Co-op 64. We hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.